I'm excited about what we covered. This is probably one of the best episodes we've ever done. If you've made it this far, you realized, wow, they covered a lot of stuff in there. Like, I'm surprised at how much we probably should do this more. Like, now that we just went through what we did and answered all those questions, I'm excited. I'm excited for the people who get to this point in the podcast. Yeah. And maybe this should be the teaser on the front so that they'll hang on to the back because, man, if they jump off 10 minutes in, the stuff they're missing, holy cow. Welcome back, everybody, to a very special episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. It is Independence Day week. Did I say that correctly? Independence Day celebration. And we are celebrating Independence Day. And we are in studio today with our producer, who's got questions from you to us. And he's going to be hitting us with our top questions. We've got producer none other than the famous, the infamous Mr. Adam Steffen. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you, sir. More infamous than famous, I would say.
I would definitely say that, yeah. And once they know the real Adam, they would know that to be true. So Chris and Zach are flying around the world somewhere.
Dancing in kilts and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, picking four-leaf clovers and, going to Molly Malone's in Ireland and dancing in kilts in Scotland. So, Chris and Zach have been traveling a little bit with some of the carrier relationships and that we have set up, and they've been away. And so we have gone through a bunch of questions that have come in, some recently, some of the biggest types of questions that we get, some of the repeat questions. And while they're not exactly the same, we get similar repeat type questions. And so you went through, how many questions were you calling through, man?
God, how many questions? No idea. But I went through about the last 6 months of comments. It's something that I try to keep us up to date on all the comments, but now we're rolling on almost 300 videos, a few different platforms. It's a bear to keep up on. So I kind of figured what better way to do it than just kind of get a whole bunch of them all at once with the expert. And I kind of just broke them all down into kind of question type. So if I don't suggest your specific question, hopefully it at least covers the topic that you're interested in. But yeah, I figured it would be a great way for us just to kind of...
And Adam, what if they want like one of these? What if they want like a cupcake with an American flag? Well, is that possible? Can we send them one?
I'm sure we could. However, for these specific cupcakes, they're gonna have to invest in a time machine and come back because this isn't releasing until later.
I know, but like they could request one, and then that would be cool if we had like cupcakes in a box and send them a cupcake.
Tell you what, the first person to comment cupcake, Roger will send you a cupcake.
Oh my gosh!
I've committed you to it now.
Jeez,
committed to the bit.
All right, there you go. So we got cupcakes. We got 4th of July over here. And this is a nod to you, independent agents out there fighting for your freedom, trying to create independence financially for you and your family. And this episode today is a nod to you. So we're going to the independent agents questions about how to win based on some of the comments we've got. So where do you want to start, man?
So I figured we'd start with something. We've got some new things coming down the pipe that actually, as this podcast release, just went live this week, I believe. So one question we got was, where do I go to get some training by you guys? We bring a lot of information on the podcast, but we have a lot more on the educational platform. Before I kill it too much, I'm going to go ahead and let you answer that question.
This coming week, we're actually releasing the new iteration of the lifeinsuranceacademy.org website, lifeinsuranceacademy.org. And on there, you're going to see the complete toolkit. You're going to see some brand new features on there with CRM, leads, a lead sponsor, also the complete new training platform where people can subscribe. A couple new ways to subscribe. Also, we've actually lowered our price point on an annual instead of doing it a monthly to give more people more access and so they can jump in super quickly. So on that site, you're going to see a starter membership where they get access to all of our courses. And the complete course library, there's 16 lessons in there. There's 24 video modules. There's 12 industry best sales resources, including our telesales scripts and our in-home scripts and all call control documents. and new content gets added quarterly to the actual site itself. We've got a new delivery platform for that. We're excited to be partnering with Kajabi to deliver a very cool interactive experience for you. And then we got a premium membership option available where they can not just get the courses, but they get our weekly coaching. We do weekly coaching. Adam, as you know, Adam hosts this for us and sets us up here in the studio. And either Chris, Zach, or myself are doing 90-minute coaching sessions every Thursday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. And we have hundreds of people that join us for weekly coaching, and that's live. We also got a one-on-one individual coaching session available in that package as well. There's also a special community on the new platform called the Life Insurance Academy Membership Community, where people can connect, collaborate, and level up and share ideas, ask questions inside that community only for LIA members. So, and you can also get some discounts being one of those premium members for you're on the basically early bird first access for all upcoming training events and telesales boot camps. You get discounts and you get early access to those.
That actually leads me in perfectly to the next question. A couple of different questions that come in. Are the boot camps generally held beginning of the month? Does it vary? A couple other variations of that same question. How do we sign up? And are they in different states or are they in the same place?
So we, as you know, we've done them around the country in different places. They're never, it's never like the beginning of the month. We never, that's not how we decide. We actually look at all of our availability and then we look at space and we try to fit them into our schedule. That's the hardest part.
This is fun for me because I get to see everyone's calendar and I know how chaotic their schedules are in general. So yeah, it definitely does vary. It's when we can kind of find time. But
so Miranda, my assistant, basically she coordinates all the schedules and tries to find time blocks of 3 days throughout the month where we can actually get together and spend time training and coaching. And so in those boot camps, as you know, we train, you dial, we coach, and you close. And this is probably one of the only training events that you can go to and attend and make money. And when you leave, you actually made more money than you spent to get there. Most other training workshops, you go, you learn, classroom style only, and then you go home, you got to try to implement on your own. There may be some follow-up, with some coaching, but it's not a live immersive experience where you're on the phone with clients and we're in your ear listening, coaching, whispering basically in your ear through some technology that we can talk to you, but not the client, and it's always a fun time.
It's always fun to see agents jump a little bit that first time you guys whisper in their ear. They kind of do a little look around.
Yeah. So it's never at the beginning of the month. And we do them around the country. I think we have 2 scheduled for Louisville here. It helps when we can hold them here because it allows us to put them a little more frequently because it helps us with our own travel schedules. We have different family needs, and so we're trying to work around those things all the time. But I think we have one coming up in September and then another one in November, I believe, this year in 2020. If you're listening to this podcast, that's sometimes later, but this is 2025. So we've got 2 dates coming up. And you can find those dates on the website. You just go under events, click on that, and it'll be right there under the events tabs. And you can sign up right there.
And I'll make sure in all of the episodes, I generally always try to put a link to register for the boot camps. Yep. I'll make sure that that's down in the description, and you'll actually be able to see it as well right here.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So kind of a callback.
That may have sounded like a big old ad at the beginning, the way those questions were framed. Did that sound like an ad? We didn't intend for that to be that way, but we get so many questions about where to find stuff.
I can't tell you how many comments I went through that just say boot camp in a city. Boot camp Orlando, boot camp
that's
Phoenix,
because we did that one
Chris,
I think
Chris's fault.
We did the one thing and we said DM us and put the word boot camp in your city if you want to attend one, and we'll get you on the wait list. So we do have a wait list that's pretty extensive. But yeah, if you're interested in one, now you can go directly to the website and register for one. And if there's not one available at that time, DM us and let us know when you want one and where you want one, and we'll see what we can do. Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. Their streamlined prep review courses and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount, reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use partner code LIA at liapodcast.org/Excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions' premier pre-licensed training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career.
So moving on to the next question.
Yeah.
This is right up there with the most asked questions. So I'm going to have a number of different images pop up here to show you all the different questions regarding leads. The independent agent's favorite topic.
Yeah.
Where do I get good leads? What constitutes a good lead? How much should I be spending on leads? Leads.
It's the most famous question, right?
It is.
I saw one question in here. How do you approach the door when you don't have leads? That was under the Door Knock Like a Pro, I think from Cornell Swan 2834 a couple of weeks ago. Door Knock Like a Pro. I think that was Zach's
Zach
episode.
did that, yep.
And he said, how do you approach the door when you don't have leads? I never did. I never did approach the door when I didn't have leads. I always invested in leads so that I had an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody who had requested information on final expense or mortgage protection. Mortgage protection was more of a phone call appointment set with final expense leads. We routed them and we showed up when we were door knocking, when we were doing in-homes on those. Of course, telesales is different, but I always invested in leads, Adam. I was a believer that if you can get the party at least 33% of the way with you and have expressed some type of an interest, you have an opportunity now to have a conversation. There are no guarantees on leads.
I think that's the part that gets people is they assume a lead is a guaranteed sale. And I've been here long enough now to know it's an opportunity to have a conversation, right? It's how we always preach it.
Yeah, opportunity to have a conversation with somebody who's, they saw an ad online, they filled out something in the mail that spoke to final expense benefits, funeral planning, mortgage protection plan, whatever it might be. And obviously there was some type of intention, when they had that, when they filled that out. There was a motivation behind it, something emotional triggered that said, I should probably get this or look into it at least. So there was some level of interest stated on that. And so when they fill it out and you're able to connect with those people, you're able to bring them back to what they were thinking when they did fill that out and what they had in mind or what they might be looking for. And now you're starting off, instead of just doing direct cold calling in neighborhoods where no one's ever requested anything, that's our hard uphill battle. I mean, you can do it if you're willing to put in the work, but I never did it that way. So I would like to answer the question on where to get good leads. There's plenty of lead sources out there. If you get into these Facebook groups, you can go down rabbit holes and find all kinds of things. There's all kinds of different leads as well. There's digital leads. There's IVR leads, which is basically a lead that is a direct mail lead that gets sent out with the phone number only way to respond. And when you call back in, it prompts for you to input numbers to answer questions. And it generates a lead based on how the respondent either gives a voice or inputs numbers to respond to those questions. And then it's transferred digitally back, and then the agent can call out. That's a direct mail, phone. We call it interactive voice response lead. So that's another one. Another one is just a direct digital lead that's generated on Google, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. There's all kinds of ways to run ads for final expense leads and mortgage protection leads, even IULs, depending on what type of market you're in. So a good lead source that I would recommend, if you're plugged into a community and you have top producers in the organization where you are, and they're using a lead source consistently and they have top results consistently, that's the lead source that you should go to. Here's the problem. Most people are out there and they don't fully trust that. Or those leads seem like it's a little too expensive and I don't want to invest in those leads. So I'm looking for other leads. And so they end up on our videos.
The magic leads.
Right? I'm looking for the magic leads that are only $8, all of them all the time. And we have a 30% close rate on those. That's what everyone's looking for. Well, that doesn't exist. Right. And so they end up out here on YouTube University and they're trying to find something else because what's being demonstrated in front of them, they put a barrier on it for whatever reason. It's above my investment comfortable, a comfort level threshold. I'm not comfortable with investing that much. It scares me. Like you need to have an honest conversation with the people. If you get people genuinely trying to help you and they're having consistent results at a high level and they have a consistent lead source, find out what that lead source is. But you can't just buy the leads. You have to actually do the work that they do, right? You have to emulate them and you have to emulate their process and invest the same way they do in leads to get the similar result. You can't do it this much of the way and expect anywhere close to that much of the result. I'm using motions now. For those of you who are only listening on audio, you can't see my hands. So I apologize for that. But you can't just go part of the way. You've got to go all in on that.
For 100% return, you need 100% effort.
Exactly. Yes, I was going to say 100%. Yes, affirmative. But I will say we have, because of our industry awareness and because of how many types of leads that we see come across our table, our desk, our email, about people wanting to partner with us or work with us or recommending leads or different agents who are using different lead sources. We do vet a lot of leads. When I mean vet them, I mean like we test them, we try them, and we work through them to see what kind of response they're getting. We see if they're consistent, if they're from a reputable source, if they're from an organization that can deliver leads consistently. There are some nefarious entities out there, and sometimes we see those. And I'm not going to put a complete wet blanket on this, but some call transfers, like direct live transfers from overseas entities, offshore entities. Let me just refer to them as that way. Sometimes those can be suspect because you can't trace the source of the lead. It's very difficult to understand if you're talking to a person who's an actual real customer or it's a setup. And I've heard of some people getting burnt from some of those. So I'd be a little wary. Do extra due diligence if you're looking into call transfers. But if you're looking for a great quality digital lead on a direct purchase basis, or you're looking to have someone run a campaign for you, to run ads for you on your own Facebook accounts, and you can run campaigns in different states, different markets to generate your own leads. There's a couple of options, and so we actually have a new sponsor, partner, basically with the Life Insurance Academy and closedleads.io. So CLSD leads.io is a great source for lead generation. Some of the lowest price leads, digital leads in the market. We've tested them ourselves. We've worked them ourselves. The agents who come to our boot camps have worked them. We get great results. I've seen people scale using this lead source, and they've become a great partner with them. And so the ad management program is endorsed and powered by Scale My Social, Oscar Gonzalez and his company. If you go to our website, you'll see that information there. You can click on a video, learn more about Oscar and his team. And so we've put together a partnership essentially as an exclusive sponsor of the Life Insurance Academy, where they can maximize your lead costs and get them as low as they can possibly get them for you for a managed fee that they charge you once a month. So you can buy leads at some of the lowest prices in the industry, and you can get them SMS and non-SMS verified. There's a difference, and that's explained in the website. Or you can use an ad management program. So a couple of great lead sources that I would recommend right there. It's phenomenal. Of course, other people in the industry are doing good things. Kaboom Leads.
Yep.
Cody Askins runs a good program. He's a friend of mine. And we've been doing business together for a long, long time. And, he's a leader in the industry for sure. And he has his own program. does all kinds of leads on all kinds of things. The leads that I was just referencing with closed leads is a final expense lead. For those of you that are in the final expense space, Cody has a pretty broad offering of leads. You can check out Kaboom Leads. There's a couple of great sources right there. Why don't we start there and end there on that? Do we need more?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. If you guys have any more questions on lead, I'll put all the links that Ryder talks about in the description below. And again, comment. More questions we get, we'll do more episodes like this.
Yeah, and if you're still in needing direct mail leads, we have good sources for that too. There's going to be some new features, I think, being added to our website here in the coming months for some great direct mail source and even IVR type leads that I was mentioning earlier. So we're putting together a couple of relationships that we'll make available to you guys.
Awesome. So moving on to the next category of questions, and I'll put a number of them up on the screen right here regarding the same thing. So apologies if I don't read your question, but we had a bunch of them on the same thing. It's kind of on objection handling. We had one on one of our older videos. It's actually a video before I got here. It's the best insurance sales system, 6 questions versus the 5 fundamentals. They asked, how do I get past feeling like I'm being accusatory asking these questions? Another gentleman asked, struggling with the tie downs because the prospects are either rushing me to provide a quote or hanging up on me as I try to give them that quote, or just because I didn't give them one. I know we've done a number of episodes of just on objection handlings, the best way to ask questions, but just
okay. So the questions, what them shorts do. The handle of this person is what them shorts do. Love that. Another one is Chase
the Engineer.
Chase the Engineer on how to close every sale. So thank you guys for those questions. We do appreciate them. How do I get past the feeling I'm being accusatory asking these questions? So that's a great one. And my good friend Marlon Faulkner, just saw that video just surpassed 200,000 views.
It's our best performing video we have.
Marlon, shout out to you, man. I hope the world and your business is blowing up in a good way for you in Tulsa, Oklahoma. By the way, if you want to reach out to Marlon, that's where you can find him. Great guy, great business. How do I get past feeling like I'm being accusatory asking these questions? Marlon and I did a session in here, and he went through 6 questions that you can ask to really get into what we call the discovery or the stakes. So in our principled sales process, Adam, you know that the third piece of that principled sales process is the stakes.
Identify and raise the stakes.
Identifying, addressing, and raising the stakes, right? And so Marlon's questions were who, what, when, where, why, and how. And they may seem very rudimentary, but when applied to people's individual situation and their families with the right tone, those are not being accusatory questions. Because as a sales advisor, if you don't ask questions, you're simply an order taker and you're not building any emotional connection or value with you as an individual. You might as well just be getapolicy.com.
Well, and you said a great word there too, tone. It's something we actually just did a coaching call this morning that Mike Hortang, a good friend of ours, was talking about that. And if it was just the words, if there was really a magic script, we could just send an email and close insurance sales, it seems like.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of how you ask those questions, the way you change from, oh, I'm so sorry to hear about that. You know, if I put on my radio voice and tried to sell insurance, like no one's going to trust me.
No.
You're not speaking like a human being.
Correct. But I do want to watch a baseball game with you.
You know? Would be
probably
fun.
be a pretty good baseball announcer.
Would be fun.
And I don't even like baseball, but I think I would listen if it was your voice on there. So these questions obviously are asked in context, you know, why the person filled out. So one of those first questions is, Adam, thank you for giving me the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you to help me understand what you're trying to accomplish. We help families across the country every day, just like you, put protection in place. It's usually about someone they love, someone they care about. They feel like they don't have everything covered, and they want to make sure they're fully protected. Tell me what you had in mind when you filled out this request to get some more information. So it starts there, right? That's a very normal question that anybody who's submitted an inquiry for this is going to expect to be asked. Would you expect that would be a normal question to be asked in an appointment like that?
Yeah, of course.
As we go deeper, you say, well, I don't have any coverage, or I have I only have a, $100,000 policy, $100,000 policy at work. It's a work policy only. If I ever leave, I don't get to take it with me. And we just moved into this new house, and I got a $350,000 mortgage now that I'm worried about. And I've got 2 boys, and, and if something were to happen to me, it's gonna put Marie and my family in a place that doesn't make me feel good. And I want to make sure they're protected. Now, you might not say all that. You might say, well, I want some additional coverage to make sure my family is okay. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my questions, who, what, when, where, why, and how, who is this for?
For Marie.
What is it for?
Make sure I'm not a burden to my family.
Yeah.
Insert generic answers here.
When would you like to have this in place, or why now? Mm-hmm. Why is it important now? These are all discovery questions that's going to get people moving from a transaction. I'm looking for a price on $500,000, or I'm looking for a price on $300,000, or I'm looking for a burial policy for me and my wife, because our kids and grandkids, I don't want that burden to be on them, for $25,000. And they might be thinking they're just getting a price. Well, they can go online and get that price, or they can talk to you. And the difference between you and them is that you're a person who can advise them well, who can understand their situation and custom design a plan and ensure they're getting the best price with the best program available, instead of just being a generic cookie cutter offering from some online website, or a telephone call to an inbound telephone call where people are just taking orders. Mm-hmm. And so now all of a sudden you're a real human. And so I would say what them shorts do is your tone changes. These questions are asked in context, and they're followed up in context. So if you say, my wife, Marie, I'm going to ask, what about Marie? What does she do? If you didn't have this in place, what does it look like for them? How does that make you feel? Mm-hmm. Right? These are not accusatory questions. These are contemplative questions. And if you notice, even my tone changed a little bit in the way I'm wording that. And
that's what I was going to point out, is it's not even so much what you're saying, it's how you're saying it.
Yeah.
I've watched you and Zach and Chris and the number of agents that we've had come in here that speak very confidently, speak in this kind of tone, but then all of a sudden when they get to the point where they really want to hammer it home, they'll get here.
Yeah.
They'll change that cadence. They'll change that tone.
I would even give pause to the way you just said that, hammer it home. I would say when they really want to connect with the client and find out their real reason, they become a real person communicating to another real person. Mm-hmm. It's not about a sales tactic. It's about human communication. And it would be really odd if I just kept this tone all the time. Well, I want something in place. My husband just passed away, and I want to put something in place. Well, when did your husband pass away? Did he have any coverage in place? What's it like now at home that your husband's not there?
Right.
That would just be the weirdest conversation ever. I'm going to get kicked out of that house in a moment.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to be hung up on the phone in a moment if I keep that cadence and tone. Like, think about how you sound when you talk to people. So question asking is about being present and real with someone that you're forming a relationship with, even though you've only been on the phone with them for a few moments. You have to treat them like the person that lives next door that you care about, him and his wife and their family, and you would do anything to try to help them put the best protection in place. What would that conversation sound like? And be that person. So your tone, how you ask, and making sure you're asking in context, following up with your exploratory questions, discovery questions, so that you can uncover their real internal need is the way that that's handled. There was a second part. What was the second part of the question?
That was really it. Just
struggling to get a tie down, I think.
Yeah, struggling to get a tie down. Just objections in general. People get rushed. They want to get to the quotes. They want to know how much this is going to cost. How long is this going to take? Just the like I said, we have a plethora of them that are just kind of all revolving around the same things. I think you pretty much answered inside of that the majority of those.
There's probably a little bit more I can add there, and this was from Chase the engineer on how to close every sale. He said, I'm struggling to get a tie down because the prospects are either rushing me to provide a quote or hanging up on me when I try to get a quote, as I don't give them one. One guy straight up said he doesn't want to be emotionally manipulated.
Yeah, that one stuck out to me.
But for that one person, they might have had a bad experience with a bad agent on the phone who just got really weird with them. This is not about being weird. This is about getting to a place where Adam, if I'm talking to you and I'm talking to you about Marie, I'm going to say, if you don't have this in place, Adam, for Marie and the kids, what does it look like? What does it look like for them if you were to pass away?
I don't know. It doesn't look good.
What do you think they would do?
I mean, they would have to get, hopefully if my parents are still around or her parents are still around, them involved, friends, family. I hate to say it, they might even need to get a GoFundMe. I haven't really thought about it, Roger.
Yeah, I can tell that this is a big decision for you, and you probably feel like there's some liability or a gap there, and it doesn't feel great to think about it that way, does it?
No, a good man takes care of his family.
Yeah, a good person takes care of his family. I love that. I got some other thoughts there, but I'll save them for later on that comment. But I want to come back and talk to you about your kids. How old are your children?
2 and almost 4.
2 and 4. Yeah. So they're getting ready. Well, they're probably in preschool now, and they're getting ready to go into school full time here soon, right?
Yeah.
So even like preschool has probably been a financial contribution for you. Are they in preschool?
The oldest is about to start.
Yeah.
This fall. Yeah.
And have you had them in daycare?
Yes. Yeah. I've been in daycare now for a few years.
So daycare costs, preschool costs, that sort of thing. Like that costs money.
Yeah. Lots.
If something were to happen to your income, does that get impacted?
Absolutely.
What does Marie do then?
Gets help from family to watch the kids. Daycare probably wouldn't be an option at that point because that's a good. Yeah. Any parent that is doing this now understands that that weekly cost is. Yeah. It's a second mortgage basically is what we're paying.
Mm-hmm. Well, if money were not an option here, and I know you're concerned about budget, right? Everybody is. Always. I want to acknowledge that, by the way. And you get to decide on how much you put in the plan for your family. And there will be affordable options for you. I just want to assure you of that. So that set aside, if those were not the issues that you were concerned about, what would you like it to look like for them?
I would like them to not have to worry about finances while they grieve. I don't want that to be that additional monkey on her back. Yeah.
You guys, it sounds like you came through some things when you were first getting started.
Yeah.
Financially?
Yep. It's been a long time getting to where we are now. A lot of sacrifice, a lot of, big heart-to-heart conversations of where we are and where we want to be and kind of what we need to cut out of our life to get to where we need to go.
Yeah. So these types of conversations are not just important to you, they're important to her and your children. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. So if you could take care of that, and it was affordable, I'm assuming that's something you want to at least apply to see if we can get you covered for, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, ladies and gentlemen, there's the tie down. The tie down came in a conversation about what was important, how it made him feel, what it would look like if he didn't have it in place. What does he want it to look like? Why is that important? And so we're not actually moving people to a place of emotional manipulation. For most of us and people who ask this question, oftentimes they're not in an environment where they're getting coached this way.
Yeah.
And so it feels really awkward.
Yeah.
Or they themselves may not be emotionally connected, even to have transparent, vulnerable conversations like this themselves. And therefore, they find it hard to have that same type of transparency and vulnerability with a client. But I can tell you, the more confident you are with just being present with people, think about great therapists.
Yeah.
Right? And not many of us have gone to therapists, right? Some people think, well, therapy is for weak people. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that. I don't believe it at all. I think having someone who can listen to you, and we all have internal voices and struggles and challenges that we have with marriage, finances, work, friends, life, addictions, problems, habits, history that just keeps coming back to haunt us because of bad decisions we made in the past. And have someone good to talk to is important. It would be really weird if you had an unempathetic person talking to you on the other side of a session. So tell me about why your past was so crappy and what's kicking you now about it.
There's our sitcom idea, unempathetic.
Yeah, unempathetic therapy. That'd be a hilarious show to watch, right? Everybody would leave so confused.
Right.
I don't know if they'd have very many recurring visits.
Slightly angry,
Yeah, it's just cynical.
Exactly.
like the cynical therapist.
cynical therapist.
Right? Nothing's going to work. This ain't going to work.
Right.
You know, it would just be.
Oh, I guess just give up.
Yeah. So you have to have a listening ear. It's no different. And when you become comfortable with having an emotionally vulnerable conversation with somebody about what's important to them, and if you keep the focus on them, it doesn't have to be weird for you. Mm-hmm. And so you need to get plugged into a good community who's comfortable with leading in that direction, not manipulating. This is not what we're talking about. I even hate the idea of manipulation, especially in the senior market. This is something that I do not ever want to happen. In fact, Chris and I joke about it when we first sat down. Chris said, well, I don't want to take advantage of old people, because in his mind, somehow this was taking advantage of old people, yet we were actually putting protection in place for them, for their family, so that when they weren't there, their family was protected. Mm-hmm. But somehow the transactional part of placing the policy and that it cost a premium somehow was translating in manipulation. Right. And so I think there may be some preconceived ideas about that. And so we definitely are not manipulating people, but we do need to be comfortable with having vulnerable and sometimes probing, honest conversations with clients. And the more comfortable you become with that, the better advisor you'll be, the more referrals you'll get, because people say, hey, that person sees me, he hears me. Yeah. You know, I feel known, all right? Mm-hmm. I talk about, you know, the connection happens between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued. And how you value somebody is repeating back to them what they tell you about what's important. That's called empathy. Yeah. And when you can see life from their perspective, and you see them and you hear them, and you make sure it's affordable for them, man, you have a client for life. So that's how real business and life should be done. So I hope that answers your question. Chase the engineer. Right. What else we got?
So again, kind of bulk questions. You kind of touched on this, the importance of community. So Life Insurance Academy, we try to focus on the educational aspect, making agents better, more confident, more comfortable. Mm-hmm. Speaking of community, though, and having a group of people, we get a barrage of questions about agencies to join, IMOs to team up with. And I know we try to keep ourselves as the neutral, third party, Switzerland. We want to make sure that everyone is just getting better at the craft. But what would you tell an agent of what things they should look for, what questions they should ask, red flags, green flags, when looking for that community, when looking for a place to call home for their business?
Yeah, I mean, at the Life Insurance Academy here, we train agents from different IMOs around the country. We feature people on our podcast that represent different organizations from around the country. Mm-hmm. So here's tip number one. If you've ever seen anyone featured on our podcast, you know, let's go back and look at the last 2 years worth of episodes. Yeah. If they've been featured on our podcast, we feel pretty good about who they are and what they represent in the business.
Fair.
And so just contact that person and get a reference, get a referral, because if we feel like there's nefarious things going on or there's some shady practices going on by a certain group or by individuals, those people are never going to be featured on this podcast.
Very true.
So number one indicator, if we've featured anybody on the podcast, we know they're doing good things, and we know they're getting good coaching, good training, and they're offering value in the marketplace in a very good way. So that's a great indicator, and you can reach out to any of those. In most cases, we've left, contact information for those people to reach out to. So if someone resonated with you, reach out to them and have a conversation. There are some groups that I probably wouldn't recommend, but I'm not gonna disparage anybody, because even inside of those organizations, there's great people. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily an entity that is bad. It's usually some people inside of those organizations that I might not recommend for a cultural fit or a character fit and an alignment.
Well, I think a lot of that comes into play too, because I've heard conversations that you have of, we might not be for you, you might not be for us. Mm-hmm. And I think that it comes down to that feeling it out. If that culture feels right to you, if that community feels right to you, there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
There's a million different places you can go and do your business. But if you're feeling, this feels not quite right. Mm-hmm.
You're probably right.
I actually, we've had this conversation before. I was licensed for a short period of time, and I joined an organization. And I felt that I'm not sure I agree with this.
With this sales tactic.
Right. And then it, worked out for the best because I found my calling in life and ended up here, and it's been much better. But no, so I think that's a lot to be said is do your due diligence.
I do have some features to look for.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'd like to add that, because if you're trying to consider an organization, number one, do they have proven and validated leadership doing the thing that you're wanting to do, doing the thing every day that you're going to be doing? Or do they say, we have an opportunity and I can get you started, and here's some leads and here's a contract? A lot of people think the contract is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. And when I first started, I actually didn't have a lot of value on the contract because I knew I needed to get plugged into people who knew what they were doing. I was in another business before, obviously. I was a partner in another company. And when I started here, I was a sales trainer, and we grew that to be a very successful organization and multi-millions of dollars in revenue. But when I came to the insurance space, I had no verified credibility in insurance sales. Mm-hmm. So people just wanted to know, can he even sell 100,000? Can he even sell 200? Like what can this guy do that can teach me? But can he teach me? So I had to go out and validate again that I could connect with clients and help them and produce at a high level, right? People want to know that they have a credible teacher who can produce at a high level, who is then willing to transfer those skills and create a system for you to plug into so that you can learn those skills, be coached, be mentored, be corrected, challenged with things like activity, with leads, with showing up every day, with your tone, with pacing, with doing good business so you have high placement and high persistency.
Understanding your script versus just knowing the words.
Correct. Understanding the principles that you're supposed to be communicating, not just the words on a page. Connecting like a real human, having character, transparency, working hard. Like, these are all character traits that I would say, and attributes that I would look for in an organization, and also character traits that I would look for in the leaders that you're going to be plugged into in that organization. Are they someone who seems like they're hiding some things, or who make comments, and so when they're in private, they're a different person than when they're in public? Like, these are all things that I would look for, in an organization, and I would make my determination on that. If it's all about money and it's not about any of the other things, and they downplay the rest, I guarantee you there's other things under that hood that probably are not going to look pretty if you lift the hood on that thing, because it can't all be about money. It can't all be about just buy more leads. Mm-hmm. We're teaching people how to communicate on a human-to-human level and to move people to a better place. This is a noble and honorable industry, insurance and financial services. It's one of the most lucrative businesses in the world. And as a result, it also, because it is one of the most lucrative, it will lend itself to nefarious actors inside of the industry. And so you need to watch out for them. But I'm looking for character. I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking for systems. I'm looking for verified leadership, duplication, and scalability. Do they say one thing, but they don't have anybody delivering or producing that? Do they have people following them that are producing and following and producing other leaders within the organization on a consistent system, with a consistent message, showing up with a consistent set of values that is permeating through that organization? So these are attributes that I'm looking for when I'm testing an organization. I want to see, do they have systems? Do they have good people supporting? Do they have a consistent place where I can show up every day and see what's going on? Do I have a live dial room that I can plug into every day if I'm doing telesales and be a part of, where I can ask questions and get answers immediately? Do they have someone that I can get in the car with and go out and sell insurance every day, doing in-home presentations, watch it, model it? Can I sit in someone's office and watch them serve client after client after client until I learn how to do that? Or are they just giving me some things and say, call this list and let me know when you get an appointment? Like, there's some people that get this much support, and there's other organizations that are all about building a system to help you win. So vet out the opportunity. There's great ones out there. And like I said, you can check out anyone that we've interviewed on here and go find out from them maybe where there's a good place that you can plug in. So Is that fair?
No, I'd say that's very fair.
Perfect.
I
hope we covered that.
We did. We're running long on time. I feel what it feels like now on this end of it. On my end, I'm always like, all right, guys, come on, pay attention to what time it is.
Feel like we didn't cover enough.
Right. Yeah. Now I'm looking at the clock like, oh, it's really been that long? That doesn't seem right. So we're gonna bundle this last couple of questions together. We do a lot of episodes about agents having killer months, about having killer quarters. We just had Clark Stanley on a couple of weeks ago talking about how he's at 170K in AP in the first 4 months of business. We had Caroline Tricarton on a while back where she did $25,000 in a month. Mike and Jalen with True Wealth Financial, one of the first episodes we did with them was 35K. We get a lot of questions about AP versus profit. And it's, there's
annualized premium, AP.
Annualized premium, and then issue paid. So as the people that are new into this understand that I've been around it for a few years, but it still kind of seems odd to me as well, understanding it. So I'm going to two-part this question. What is the relationship from AP and issue paid to profitability? And then the last question of that, and we got a few as well, and just try to, for timing's sake, what does taxes look like on all of that as well?
That's a whole nother subject.
That is a whole other subject. I'm just kind of chipping in there.
Yeah.
But let's focus on the AP.
AP versus profitability.
Exactly.
Okay, so AP versus profitability. Some people say, well, if you're doing $30,000 in a month, how much money am I going to make? A lot of variables there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts, and so the answer can be broad. And some of you might think, no, he's skirting around the answer. No, I'm not skirting around the answer because it depends on your contract, what your contract looks like. Are you working for an agency and they're providing leads for you and you're getting a certain portion of commission and then you're getting a bonus for hitting threshold benchmarks? That's one way you could be paid. And in that instance, I don't know what that profitability is going to look like for you. You're the one who accepted the job. You probably would have asked those questions at the outset. What are your entry-level people making and what are the people who are making the most making? And what could my expectation be? I'm asking both because I expect that I'm not going to be the lowest on the poll, but I also expect that I'm not going to be the highest on the poll in my first 3 to 6 months, but I at least know what to shoot for. And then what does that translate to? If you're an independent agent and you're working on a contract, you may have a contract where you're investing in buying your own leads. And so your contract may be 90%, 100%, 110% based on your volume. How much volume are you doing each month? I'll just round it off to 100%. So if you write a final expense policy for $84 a month, that's $1,000 a year in annualized premium. If your contract is at 100%, your commission, if that issues and pays, what does that mean? I've written the policy, the client's agreed, they've signed, I've submitted the policy, and the client's going to start paying tomorrow or when the policy goes in force in 2 or 3 days, or on, let's say, the 3rd of next month when their Social Security comes out. One of those options. And provided that payment goes through and the policy goes in force, what we call in force, that is now an issue paid policy. So it's been issued and it's been paid. The insurance company issued the policy, said, yes, we'll cover you. The client then in return requited it with the payment to put the policy in force. Now it's in force, it's issue paid. So your commission on that would be $1,000. Now how you get paid on that with different companies is going to change. If it's in day one coverage, it probably is the full 100. If it's a graded plan, the commission is going to be reduced. It might only be 70%, commission on a graded plan instead of 100% commission, because the company now has more liability in the cost of doing business, and covering that family, that individual, is a higher cost. So they're not going to pay out the same commission on that. But regardless of what that's like, once the commission releases, let's say it is at the 100, they're going to pay you typically 9 months of that commission. 9 months, or 75% of it. Well, that would be $750, right? And then you have $250 left to be paid once you get to month 10, 11, and 12. So if you did 5 of those in a month, that would be $5,000, of which you'd be getting $3,750 advanced, and the other $1,250 would be coming in on the back end of the year. If you did 10 of those a month, now that's $10,000. You see, you're getting advanced $7,500. Now, you have lead costs because you're at one of these contracts where you're given the contract but you now have to invest in your own leads. So how much are you spending on leads? There's the other variable, right? Are you investing in the highest intent leads at $40, $50, $60 a lead? Are you trying to get digital leads, a shared lead, maybe down in the $10 to $20 range for one of those types of leads? How many leads are you investing in on a weekly basis? Do you have any other costs associated with doing business? Do you have an office? Do you have rent? Right? So we can talk about how profitable they would be, but for me, it's about net profitability. Net profitability is after you cover all of your expenses, not your household expenses, by the way.
The business expenses.
The business expenses, not your household expenses, right?
Exactly.
You can't say, well, I got to pay my mortgage and I got to pay my car, and after all that, I'm not making any money. Well, you had to do that at your job too, right?
It's a different bucket.
Yeah, that's in a completely different bucket. It's what's the business making? And what does the business need to make for you to? So the biggest cost might be some administrative or office space or some admin support that you might have in place, and leads or marketing, depending on how you're growing and scaling your business. And then the rest of it is your sweat equity, putting time in. So if you're on a lower contract, your profitability is going to be lower, but you may be getting more perks coming your way to support you. If you're on a higher contract, you're going to be investing more. So your expenses are higher, which offsets your profitability. So, I mean, that can range. It varies, but I hope that kind of explains what that can look like.
I think so.
Yeah. Was there another part to that?
The taxes question.
Oh, the taxes question.
I think that might.
Yeah. Taxes. Who likes talking about taxes? We're on Independence Day here. We're way past tax day, Adam.
Boston Tea Party, Stamp Act.
Okay.
We're getting history buff nerd.
We're talking about taxes. So taxes are going to be paid, obviously, on your net profits. Net. Not your gross, your net. So if you have an office that you're spending $1,500 a month on, if you have leads that you're spending $1,000 a week on, you spend $4,000 a month on leads or marketing, and you spend another $1,500 in your office, right? Now you've got $5,500. If you're spending another, let's say, $200 to $300 a month on your CRM, lead management, dialer, other technology pieces like that, you're up to $5,800 a month. Well, everything above that, right, is typically going to be your net, because that's going to come off right off the top as a business expense. If you travel to a conference, if you come to visit us at one of our Telesales BootCamps, and you spend a measly $800 or whatever it is to join us for the week so we can show you how to make $5,000 a week, and you come and spend the week with us, your cost to come here, your travel, your airfare, your hotel, your leads while you're here, those are all expenses that you're writing off the top line. So you're only paying taxes on your net.
So with that being said, just before we move on, that means just as a business owner, and some of this, I feel like we answer very kind of basic questions, but you have to be able to account for that. You have to have documentation.
Oh, 100%. And we're not accountants, by the way. Disclaimer,
yeah, please.
None of this is legal, financial, or accounting advice, and you got to consult your accountant to get this advice. I'm just giving you general information that every good business owner should know.
Is that something you would recommend for an independent agent, is to get into a relationship with an accountant?
100%.
CPA, something like that?
100%. 100%. Yeah, it's worth the investment. Like I used to try to do it myself through what's the
Quicken?
Well, no, there's a few others out there that do these. On tax day, they have these big offices, and you can go get your taxes done. But once I stopped trying to do it myself, and I actually started paying an accountant to do it, they were finding so much other things that I was actually eligible to consider as a tax deduction that I didn't even know, and it was costing me more money to try to do it myself for free than it was by paying somebody $500 a year, $1,000 a year, whatever it was, for somebody to actually give me the advice. $250 a quarter is not that big of an investment if that person can, save you from paying an extra $8,000 or $10,000 in taxes. And now that money goes in your pocket instead of going to the government because you're not doing it right. So yes, get good tax advice.
I just married an accountant. That was my way out. All the money stuff I just handed to Maria, say you deal with it.
At least that's what she tells you.
I hope so. Could just be pulling the wool over my eyes. Babe, I'm kidding. I love you. I know you don't do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's actually texting me right now, too.
Yeah, she heard you say that. She's working on the spreadsheet right now.
Right.
Yeah. Where are we? Did we cover a lot?
We've covered so much.
Yeah?
We covered so much. So those of you that are still here with us and are still listening, thank you. It's always fun to go through, see your comments, your questions. I do have to say, We have a lot more just uplifting people, winning people, finding something that we're talking about, helping them get through an aha moment, as I've heard it say a number of times. So it was fun going through those. It's YouTube, it's the internet. You're going to have some negative stuff as well. So I had a couple of good laughs scrolling through some of those stuff. But for anybody that's taken the time to hit the subscribe button, to hit the like button, to leave a comment, to leave, a positive note, to leave a question, thank you. If you've ever studied YouTube and algorithm and how it all works, I cannot express to you how much of a benefit that gives us on our end to let us reach out to more agents, to give them that lifeline, to give them that little bit of inspiration and hope.
Yeah. Independence Day. This is about you guys taking control of your future. I'm excited about what we covered. This is probably one of the best episodes we've ever done.
I think, well, we, of course, but I mean, I'd think it's
there
just
you go. There you go. But even available, like if you've made it this far, you realized, wow, they covered a lot of stuff in there. Like I'm surprised at how much we probably should do this more. Like now that we just went through what we did and answered all those questions, I'm excited. I'm excited for the people who get to this point in the podcast. And maybe this should be the teaser on the front so that they'll hang on to the back because, man,
very true.
If they jump off 10 minutes in, the stuff they're missing, holy cow. It's a lot. It's a lot. Adam, I did want to end with this. I was talking about managing your business and CRM and things like that. One of the other great features that we're releasing here on the new website when it hits next week, lifeinsuranceacademy.org, is the LIA CRM, full service turnkey CRM with automations built in for final expense, for mortgage protection, for IULs, annuities, all the different pieces, but streamlining your business with AI technology that can text your leads, email your leads, dialer that can dial your leads. And here's one of the really cool features. If you use the system the way it's structured and set up, and we use the Wave Dialer, which is a part of the program that we have in there, the Life Insurance Academy coaching team you can give us permission to listen into your calls no matter where you are in the country. We can listen in and coach you. So there's going to be some virtual events coming up in the future where anybody using the system, and by the way, if you take advantage of the lead program through Closed Leads or with Closed Leads program and you utilize the CRM, LIA CRM, you get a discount on the CRM as a bundle. But then that gives us the ability to host virtual events around the country where we can actually listen in and coach you and run a virtual telesales bootcamp. And I mean, that's a game changer. We're super stoked about that opportunity. Yeah. Like we've not been able to do this before. And now for the first time, we're able to jump in and make this happen. And there's a special discount where if you do that bundle deal, I think we can get you that CRM for as low as $57 a month for the CRM if you're doing the leads bundled with the CRM. So, and the reason why we're doing it primarily is so that we can train better.
Yeah.
We're not making much money on that CRM at $57, by the way, because of the costs associated with it. But the ability for us to be able to coach agents better and train agents better. And so if you're an organization that needs training, if you have an agency and you have agents that are struggling, we'd love to support you. If you're an independent agent, we'd love to support you. We got a lot of tools available. And if you just want to have a conversation about any of this, you can reach out as well and hit us up on the website or DM us, Roger at lifeinsuranceacademy.org, and we'd love to get back to you. So anyway, I'll end with that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all again for joining us on the Life Insurance Academy podcast. Be sure to leave your comments, questions down below. And we'll start doing this maybe once a quarter, a few times a year.
I love this format.
It's been really a lot of fun. I love being on this side of the camera. It's been a long time since I've been back in front of a mic, but we're digressing now.
There you go. So we've got AI actually videoing this series right now, this session. So we're going to use the AI bot. And if Adam gets good enough, we might, AI is just actually Adam's intelligence on the back end. There you go. Thanks, man, for being on. And thank you guys for listening and watching another episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Happy Independence Day, whatever time of the year you're watching this. There you go. Take it out on that, Adam.